The Christian in Complete Armor by William Gurnall. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18. Chapter 27. The first importance of praying always, shown to amount to as much as praying in everything, and why all our affairs and actions are to be encircled within the duty of prayer. Having dispatched the duty of prayer in general, we now come to give an account of the several branches of the exhortation, which together make up an excellent directory to the Christian for his better performing of this duty. Indeed, the apostle here not only teaches the Christian how to pray, but the minister also how to preach, in that he doth not nakedly tell them what is their duty, and so leave them to their own skill in the management of it, but he that may facilitate the duty, he annexes such directions that they shall not easily miscarry in the performance thereof. That preacher who presses a duty, though with never so much zeal, but doth not chalk out the way how it is to be done, is like one that brings a man to a door that is locked, and bids him go into the house, but gives him no key to open it, or that sends a company to see, but lends them no chart by which they should steer their course. But to come to the directions, which are 6. First, the time for this duty, always. And this hath a threefold importance. To pray always is as much as if he had said, pray in everything, according to what the same apostle says in another epistle. In everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. Prayer is the Catholic duty, with which, like a girdle, we are to be encompassed in all our affairs. It is to be as bread and salt on our table. Whatever else we have to our meal, these are not forgotten to be set on. Whatever we do or would have, prayer is necessary, be it small or great, not as the heathen who prayed for such things to their gods and not for others. If poor, they prayed for riches; if sick, for health. But as for the good things of the mind, such as patience, contentment, and other virtues, they thought they could carve well enough in these for themselves, without troubling their gods. Oh, how proud is ignorancy! Let God give the less, and man will do the greater. But their folly is not so much to be wondered at as the irreligion of many among ourselves, who profess to know the true God and have the light of His word to direct them what worship to give Him. Some are so brutish in their knowledge that they hardly pray to God for anything, others not for everything. Maybe they look upon pardon of sin and salvation of their souls as fruit on the top branches of a tree, out of the reach of their own arm, and therefore now and then put up some slight prayers to God for them. But as for temporals, which seem to hang lower, they think they can pluck them by their own industry without setting up the ladder of prayer to come at them. When we see how busy some are in laying their plots, and how seldom in prayer, we cannot but think that they expect their safety from their own policy, and not from God's providency. Or when we observe how hard they work in their shop, and how seldom and lazy they are at prayer for God's blessing on their labor in their closet, we must conclude that these men promise themselves their estate more from their own labor than the divine bounty. In a word, it is some great occasion that must bring many upon their knees before God in prayer, may be, when they have an extraordinary enterprise in hand, wherein they look for strong opposition or great difficulty. In such a case, God shall have them knocking at His door, for now they are at their wits' end and know not what to do, but the more ordinary and common actions of their lives may think they can muster at their pleasure, and so pass by God's door without bespeaking His presence or assistance. Thus one runs into his shop and another into the field, and takes no notice that God is concerned in their employments. If to take a long journey by sea or land, where eminent dangers and hazards present themselves into their thoughts, then God hath their company. But if to stay at home or walk to and fro in their ordinary employments, they bespeak not the providential wing of God to overshadow them. This is not to pray always. If thou wilt therefore be a Christian, do not thus conduct thyself towards God, committing the greater transactions of thy life to him, and trusting thyself with the less, but acknowledge God in all thy ways, and lean not to thy own understanding in any. By this thou shalt give him the glory of his universal providence, with which he encircles all his creatures in all their actions. As nothing is too great to be above his power, so nothing too little to be beneath his care. He is the God of the valleys as well as of the mountains. The sparrow on the hedge and the hair on our head are cared for by him, and this is no more drudgery to his glorious majesty than it was to make them at first. Nay, thou shalt by this not only give God his glory, but secure thyself. For there is no passage in thy whole life so minute and inconsiderable which, if God should withdraw his care and providence, might not be an occasion of a sin or a danger to thee. And that which exposes thee to these calls upon thee to engage God for thy defense. First, the least passage in thy life may prove an occasion of sin to thee, but at what a little wicket many times a great sin enters. David's eye did but casually light on Bathsheba, and the good man's foot was presently in the devil's trap. Hast thou not then need to pray that God would set a guard about thy senses wherever thou goest, and to cry with him, keep back my eyes from beholding vanity? Dana went but to give her neighbors, the daughters of the land, a visit, and we may imagine that she little thought when she went out of playing the strumpet before she came home. Yet, alas, we read how she was deflowered. What need then hast thou, before thou goest forth, to charge God with the keeping of thee, that so thou mayest be in his fear from morning till night? Secondly, no passage in thy life is so small wherein thou mayest not fall into some great danger. How many have been choked with their food at their own table, received their deadly wound by a beam from their own house? Knowest thou what will be the end of any action when thou beginnest it? Joseph was sent by his father to see his brethren in the field, and neither of them thought of a longer journey. Yet this proved the sad occasion of his captivity in a strange land. Job's servants were destroyed with lightning from heaven when they were abroad about their master's business. Where canst thou be safe if heaven's eye be not on thee? A slip of thy foot as thou walkest, or a trip of thy horse as thou ridest, may break thy bones. Oh, what need then of a God to make thy path plain before thee? Is it he that preserveth man and beast? And canst thou have faith to expect his protection, when thou hast not a heart to bespeak it in thy humble prayers at his hand? What reason hath God to take care for thy safety, who carest not for his honor? End of chapter 27. And be read by Peter John Paresis.